Good morning. Lindsay here with Normal Public Library for Tuesday Tales. I'm so glad you could join us on this February morning. Did you know that February is Black History Month? It gives us time to pause and reflect and appreciate the contributions that Black people have made to our world. At the library, we have some great books that help us remember and recognize those contributions. One of my favorites are our picture book biographies. Oh, they're so great. There's so much good content and amazing pictures. So this one is all about the man who invented the Super Soaker. Very cool. We have some others too about architects. Nelson Mandela. Kadir Nelson draws the pictures for these books and they are fabulous. Ella Baker and Shirley Chisholm, just to name a few. So if you'd like us to pack up some of those books in a browser pack for you, we'd be happy to do that. We're also open now, so you can come in and browse our shelves as well. Some great nonfiction, some great biographies, so be sure to check those out. Today, we're going to read one of those picture book biographies about Patricia Bath, who made some major contributions to the blind community. She had some struggles along the way too, so we're going to find out about those as well. Before we get started, I mentioned that she made some contributions to the blind community. I want you to go ahead and close your eyes. Close your eyes for a minute, and I want you to think about what it might be like to be blind. How would things look differently? How would you engage with the world differently? What about colors? Maybe colors would be more like feelings? How would yellow feel? Maybe like sunshine? What about green or blue? Do you think you might get better with feeling things? As you close your eyes, I want you to listen really well with your ears. What things do you hear around you? Without your eyes, sometimes your other senses get stronger. I can hear the wind and a train nearby. Very good. Okay, open up your eyes. Good job. So as we start our book, I want you to remember how things felt differently when you had your eyes closed. Maybe that'll help you think about the different people that Patricia Bath helped along her way too. So to get started with the book, I'm going to share my screen with you so you can see those pictures up close. So give me just a second to do that, and then we'll get started with our story. Okay, sharing my screen. Moving over to Patricia's vision. Okay, great. So this is Patricia's vision. It's a picture book biography all about Dr. Patricia Bath, the doctor who saved sight. So look on that front cover. Do you see that machine there that an eye doctor uses? Have you ever been to the eye doctor? They still use a machine like that. Let's take a look. Harlem, New York City in the late 1940s. Young Patricia Bath was curious. She peered at a man begging and noticed his eyes were cloudy. How did that happen? She shut her eyes and pondered, what's it like to live in the dark? That's just what we did. What is it like? How is it different? Other girls played nurse, but 6-year-old Patricia wanted to be a doctor. All the doctors Patricia knew were men. A medical degree required years and years of study and cost money Patricia's family didn't have. But she saw possibility when others didn't. So she thought she would still work hard to become a doctor. Both of her parents stressed the importance of education and hard work. Her mother cooked and cleaned, and her father learned all about the world on his merchant ships that he traveled on. Her mother encouraged her by surprising her with a chemistry set. Patricia knew her education would take her places. And all the while, Patricia doctored her dolls, poking her needle into the tattered cloth and back through the other side. She stitched, she snipped, and she knotted. She mended her dolls with bandages, splints, and most stitches that were very neat, and never lost sight of her dream. Patricia grew, and so did her curiosity. In high school, science made Patricia's pulse race. Other teens watched TV. Patricia pressed her eyes to a microscope. What do you think that is that Patricia's looking at? Under a microscope, what would that be? I thought maybe honeycomb? It's actually insects. She peered under the microscope, inspecting insects. So it's an eye of a fly. Patricia loved learning. She worked hard and kept her eye on the future. In college, she memorized, she multiplied, and she measured. When she wasn't poring over beakers, burners, and ionic bonds, she volunteered to read to the blind. 4 years passed in a blur. In medical school, she studied everything from broken bones to kidney stones, inside and out from head to toe. By the time she finished, she knew exactly what kind of doctor she wanted to be. An ophthalmologist. Any guesses on what an ophthalmologist might be? It's a really long, tricky word to say. It's a surgeon who treats eyes. Did you guess that? An eye doctor? Ophthalmologist. After years of medical school, she slipped out of her cap and gown and into a crisp white coat. She was now Dr. Patricia Bath. Dr. Bath tackled her first project in her own Harlem neighborhood. So many blind patients gathered at the eye clinic. Dr. Bath wondered, why? She wanted eye care for everyone. Most of these patients had never been examined by a doctor before, especially not an ophthalmologist. Swallowing her sorrow, she asked her professors to help. They said yes and operated for free. Dr. Bath saw possibility when others couldn't. She thought eyesight and care for your eyes was a basic human right. I wonder why there were so many people that needed eye care. And maybe it has something to do with the cost. Did you hear how she asked her professors to help and they did for free? That would make it available to everyone. Dr. Bath couldn't wait to begin her career as an ophthalmologist. She moved across the country to join the famed Jules Stein Eye Institute in California. Walking into work, though, that first morning, she had no idea that she was the first woman on the faculty. Her eyes widened upon her new office. Does that look like an office to you? It was away from the others, in the basement, next to the lab animals. That does not look like an office for a scientist. She marched upstairs and demanded a workspace equal to the other new professors. At times, she wondered why others took the easy cases of the rich and famous. They gave Dr. Bath the difficult patients, but she straightened her lab coat and got to work. She never gave up. She was proud to care for the so-called hopelessly blind. What if I could give my patients the gift of sight? Other doctors said, that's impossible. Dr. Bath said, I choose miracles. Tap, 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 tap. One day, a blind veteran found his way to her office. Dr. Bath decided the best treatment was to replace the damaged cornea in his eye, the covering of his eyeball. She felt like she could give him sight. In the operating room under hot lights, she squinted through the microscope for hours. An artificial cornea contains a tiny tube that projects light and returns the patient's vision. Dr. Bath placed the device in his cornea, sewing it in place just as she had practiced as a little girl. When Dr. Bath peeled away the bandages, her patient's face shined like a lamp. I can see the light! She had performed a miracle and had given him his sight back. With her help, her patients read signs, marveled at colors, and walked without canes. They even drove cars. Dr. Bath saw possibility when others couldn't. One day, a patient called on Dr. Bath for help. Shining a bright light in the patient's eyes, Dr. Bath discovered the problem. She shook her head. A thin layer of tissue called a membrane had grown in after the surgery. The woman could no longer see. Oh, what a struggle. Now she has to figure out what to do next. Dr. Bath spent sleepless nights tossing and turning, wondering how to help. One night she had an idea. A laser. A laser makes a narrow beam. It can cut like a knife. Other doctors had used lasers on the skin. Never before had doctors used a laser tool that could be guided with ease and control. This was Dr. Bath's new idea. How could she take it from her imagination to the operating room? There's her tossing and turning at night. In her mind, she saw a probe that she could focus. Doctors had already used lasers on the cornea. Why not a cloudy lens? Boom! She realized her laser probe design could be used to remove something called cataracts in people's eyes. Unthinkable! Preposterous! It can't be done, said the other doctors. But she kept thinking big thoughts about the tool that didn't exist yet. She always said, remember that the limits of science are not the limits of your imagination. So keep thinking. Dr. Bath traveled to Europe in 1986 to experiment with the best lasers. She planned, plotted, and predicted until finally she gathered the tubes and supplies for her tool. She wasted no time. She fitted, she fashioned, she fused. She refused to give up. Alone, long after midnight, raindrops pelted the window as Dr. Bath tested different lasers. Her mind churned. Maybe, possibly this could work. She aimed the argon fluoride laser at the lens and fired. But the eye disease was still there. She fired the krypton fluoride laser. Still not enough power. She had to get it just right. She aimed the xenon chloride laser and fired. Pop, pop, pop. Eureka! It worked! She saw the disease evaporate in a few zaps. Her invention worked. She called the new tool the laser phaco probe. Back home, she applied for a patent, an official document to prove she was the inventor. And then she waited. Months later, Dr. Bath found an envelope from the United States Patent Office. Her hands trembled as she ripped open the flap. On May 17, 1988, Dr. Bath was granted her first patent for her laser phaco probe. Her eyes flooded with tears. Dr. Bath always saw possibilities wherever she went, and when others gave up, Dr. Bath saw miracles that could happen. The end. Isn't that an amazing story? And it's not just a story. It's the true life of Dr. Patricia Bath. Would you like to see a picture of the real Dr. Patricia Bath? This is her in her lab. So she developed that laser that helped millions of people see again. What an incredible person. I'm so glad that I could share this story with you today. I hope that you check out lots more biographies and learn more about Black people who have helped our world and come up with amazing contributions to our society. We'll see you again soon. Have a great day, stay warm out there, and be safe.